morning, everybody, and welcome to today's webinar. We're looking at a property investment and immigration into Mauritius over the age of 50. If this is something that you're looking at currently or something that you're planning for the future, we hope to share with you some valuable information today and help you with that research and that process. So before we get going, just a little bit of housekeeping. I'm sure many of you have participated in webinars over the last sort of 12 months, but just in case, if you look at the bottom of your screen, you will notice a little block that says chat. If you click on that, it opens up a chat box. Please, folks, add your questions in there. We have both the panelists up front and we have some keyboard warriors in the background that are ready to answer any of your questions. And so please feel free to pose them. This is the opportunity to get information straight from the source. The next part of a little bit of housekeeping is during the course of this webinar, we're going to run a few polls. What will happen is the poll will pop up into your screen, as you can see now. You can answer the poll. We would be very appreciative. Once you've completed that, you can just click on the little red square in the top left-hand corner, and that will then switch that poll off, disable it, and you can continue watching uninterrupted on the webinar. So let's get started. We are 45 minutes is the length of this webinar, 30 minutes of discussion and 15 minutes of Q&A. So please add those questions in. But before we get going, let us have a quick introduction to who our panel is today. So as we did the research around looking at investing and immigrating over the age of 50 and looked at the types of questions that were coming in from our audience, from our readers, etc., we put together a panel of absolute experts. Esmarie Swanepoel is part of the Temple Group, and they focus on investment, tax, relocation, visas, and she's going to look at what the options are for you at 50 years plus. Rinie Boshoff from Two Futures is going to present a beautiful development to you that offers a lot of the facilities that you could be wanting to lean on as you move into your 50 plus golden years. As they say, life begins at 50. I'm hoping, I'm very close. And to round off our discussion, Philippe from Park Lane Properties. And there we're going to look at both existing developments that are off-plan purchases and resales. What can you get? What can you expect? And what does Mauritius have to offer? So without further ado, let's move over to Esmarie and enjoy the webinar. I hope that many of your questions will be answered today. And Julie's manning our back end there. Just give us a few seconds. We were very glad that there was no load shedding scheduled for today, so we shouldn't have any disruptions with the power at least. And I think Julie's on it. There we go. Thanks, Julie. And over to you, Esmarie.
Thanks, Louise. Hi, everyone from Mauritius. Good morning. Afternoon here, but good morning. So I'm just going to give you an overview of who Temple Group is, what we do. I'll also give you an overview of our expat desk and what those services are as they relate to you. So if we could just go on the next slide, please. So we are a group of 6 companies. We offer a full service solution to our clients. We have an in-house law firm, we have a compliance and training firm, a publishing firm, of course, immigration, tax and corporate services, which is the Mauritius expat desk where I'm situated. Next slide, please. So just to delve into some of our services here, we offer immigration services, which would include your relocation and your permit applications, concierge and lifestyle integration services, which I'll go into a little bit later. We offer a full corporate and tax advisory service to make sure that your route of entry is actually applicable to the goals that you have in mind for yourself and your family, which would then translate into either a company or a trust setup, structure, and any regulatory requirements around that. We also assist with any global business company setup and licensing, as well as your bank account opening, which would be vital to your lifestyle and your running your business if that is a route that you're looking at. I invite you to join our Facebook group where we post regulatory and legal changes, and there's an ongoing conversation insofar as various topics as it relates to lifestyle and the legal framework here. Next slide, please. Right, so just to give you an overview of Mauritius as a business, economic and lifestyle destination, there's a population currently of 1.3 million people over a land mass of around 2,000 square kilometers. The official language in Mauritius is English, although a lot of people tend to speak French and Creole equally. But everyone, generally where you go, you will be able to speak English to just about everyone. Our literacy rate is really high at 89.9%, and then there's a 3.5% real GDP growth rate as well. Just to touch on the tax element, we have around 50 double taxation avoidance agreements in place in Mauritius, one of which, and as it relates to you, is with South Africa as well. Next slide. Yeah, again, just delving into what Mauritius brings and what it offers. It is a bilingual environment with a pool of qualified professionals, a multi-skilled workforce, and a very attractive time zone for global business. It has a reliable platform for economic and infrastructure, a really well-equipped airport, so you don't have to worry about shipping, importing, getting your deliveries here, or traveling to see your family. It's got a very stable and attractive rule of law and political stability, which of course is important, especially for us from South Africa. There's no exchange control in Mauritius, as is the case in South Africa, and of course there's a lot of tax benefits and tax incentives that Mauritius offer to expatriates, foreigners wishing to relocate or invest into Mauritius. Next slide. So again, I've just stated some statistics here as it related pre-COVID to the relationship with South Africa. Of course, it would change slightly if we take the COVID pandemic into account, but this is more or less the stability that we can look at. As you will note, there's around 3,000 occupation and residence permits currently issued to South Africans in Mauritius, and around 174 of those are retirees, which would open up the category for 50 years and older. A lot of property acquisition as well, as at March 2017, around 828 foreign acquisitions registered in Mauritius. Next slide, please. Right, so I'll just touch on the airport. Of course, again, this is pre-COVID. We're being positive today. We're not focusing on the current situation. We will return to this very soon. So we have around 20,000 annual flights and 4 million passengers coming in and out of Mauritius. There's ongoing cargo flights. Even in lockdown, we have weekly cargo flights which amount to about 4,600 tons on a month. 24/7 operations at the airport, even during lockdown periods. Of course, not commercial flights, but it is very well equipped. Next slide, please. Right, so we'll look at the immigration regime in Mauritius, which is categorized and I think balanced between working, living, and investing in Mauritius. So we'll just delve into that in the next slide. So I've kind of split out the various residency options as it relates to all of you today, looking at popular routes for people over 50 years of age. The retired non-citizen permit is a very popular route, which is for qualifying for people 50 years and older. So there's no immediate capital requirement to set up. You don't have to set up any entity. You don't have to register a business. You don't need employment. You only have to commit to bringing in $18,000 per annum, or a monthly amount of $1,500 per month. It would then give you a 10-year residency period in Mauritius, as well as a dependent permit for your spouse or your partner. A second route, which is a little bit less long-term, it's a 12-month visa that would allow you to stay in Mauritius on a renewable basis under the same commercial criteria. So you would still need to bring in $1,500 per month or $18,000 per annum, but that would be on a year-to-year basis, and it's not a permit, it is a visa. Next slide, please. Other popular routes that we have, which would be of interest perhaps to some of you who are not seeking to retire to Mauritius, would be occupation or residence permits. Under the occupation and resident permits, we have 4 routes, which would be unemployed. That would obviously mean that you have an offer of employment in Mauritius. It's valid for a maximum of 3 years renewable. The self-employed permit, which is for 10 years and requires a $35,000 capital investment. Investor permit, which requires a $50,000 capital investment and is valid for 10 years. And then an innovative investor permit, which is something that has just been introduced last year and requires no capital investment, but under very strict and innovative criteria. We also have a 20-year permanent residence permit, which is strictly applied to an investment of $375,000 or more. That would include the PDS properties, which is the property development scheme allocated for acquisition by foreigners. You will be required to spend a minimum of around 5.5 million rand, which is the equivalent of $375,000 within these schemes. And of course, you can reach out to both Philip and Rinie for more information on that. The next slide. Right, so just to give a quick overview of how Mauritius has opened its doors to foreigners in the wake of the pandemic, and to show the inclusivity that they're trying to portray here. They've halved the capital investment for the investor permit from 100,000 to 50,000. There is the ability for permit holders to invest in other ventures without shareholder restrictions. There was a removal of the turnover and investment requirements for occupation permit application as innovative investors. First-time applicants seeking a permanent residence permit require a minimum capital of $375,000 as opposed to the previous threshold of $500,000. Can we please go on to the next slide? So I'll just give a quick overview of the different property schemes. We have, of course, the property development scheme, or more frequently known as PDS. These are areas that are demarked for foreign acquisition in certain lifestyle areas of the island. And these are the properties that are subject to a minimum of $375,000 investment. They've also recently opened up the option for occupation holders to acquire property in smart city schemes across the island up until July 2022, which would then give you the option as well to purchase land and construct, which in normal circumstances would not be possible for foreigners. To the next slide. And perhaps something that would be of interest to people that are seeking to relocate with the intention of retiring is the Senior Citizens Property Development Scheme. This forms part of the PDS, which the Economic Development Board is offering, and would provide you with a residence permit for your spouse or for yourself, your spouse or common law partner that remains valid for as long as you as a retired person will occupy that residential unit. There are assigned life rights applicable to nominee retirees for the application of such residence permits, but again, that would have to be within the scheme that is allocated for this purpose. And I urge you again to reach out to Rinie and Philip for any more information on such property development. The next page. Right, so I know a lot of people have a lot of questions about taxation and how it applies to you being in South Africa and looking at residency in Mauritius. I will just say that it is a very subjective topic, and each person would have its own set of circumstances in terms of assets, goals. So it's very difficult to give a blanket approach as to what the outcome would be in terms of your tax status and your payments or liability. So I'll give you an overview of the Income Tax Act in Mauritius as it applies to us today in terms of bringing pension or having assets purchased in Mauritius or in South Africa. So in order to establish tax residency, there's 3 criteria that has to be met in line with Section 73 of the Income Tax Act. You have to establish a permanent place of residence, whether that is in South Africa or in Mauritius. Excuse me. There is a substance requirement as well, which will be taken into consideration, whereas it will be taken into account whether you own property in Mauritius. Have your assets been moved here? Have you set up a trust or holding company? What is your individual situation, and where can you show the most substance in terms of jurisdiction? There's also a physical presence test, which means if you spend 183 days in any 12-month cycle in Mauritius physically, you would become a tax resident in Mauritius. course, if you travel within that period, they would look at a 24-month period, which would mean you would have to spend 270 days in Mauritius physically to qualify for the physical presence test. Pension and dividends are classified as income under Section 5 of the Mauritius Income Tax Act. So it will be taxable if you do bring those monies into Mauritius, or if it was derived at a time when you were resident in Mauritius. Again, there is a DTA in place between Mauritius and South Africa. So we work with our partners in South Africa who are tax experts very closely for our clients who are doing the move to Mauritius to make sure that all of their needs in SA and Mauritius are catered for before they actually take the plunge. So if you want an individual assessment or advice, then please just reach out to us and we'll see how we can assist you. Next slide. Excuse me, just to give you a quick overview of the deductibles for individuals in terms of personal tax in Mauritius. If you are looking to retire in Mauritius, I think E would probably be more specific to you. In the case of a retired person with no dependents, or if you have dependents, then the deductible has recently been increased from 470,000 to 485,000 rupees from the amount that is taxable. Next slide, please. So I'll just quickly run over what we offer our clients as a value add here as well, is the lifestyle and concierge desk. So our approach is to give a holistic assistance from packing up your property, moving your pets, to relocating to Mauritius, finding property, schooling, any of the requirements that goes into the lifestyle and settling yourself and really integrating into the lifestyle in Mauritius, which is something that people often overlook. So we've integrated those services into our corporate offering so that we can offer holistic service to all of our clients to make sure that the whole move and everything that they need help with is completely covered. Next slide. So a question we get asked a lot is in terms of the medical and health insurance in Mauritius and what the framework is like. Obviously, we are a small island. We don't have a huge population, but we do have to kind of assess what its infrastructure can hold. So we have two really nice big hospitals in Mauritius, which are of net care quality, if not better. I myself have been hospitalized in there for 2 weeks, and I'm fine. I had a really great experience. It's really not something that I advise people to worry about. You are eligible to apply for expatriate insurance in Mauritius with well-reputed insurance companies, and you'll be happy to know that the cost is significantly less than what you would pay for the discoveries and so forth in South Africa. Again, I am on one of those schemes. I've had no problems. I've had no issues with claims. It really is not as big of a nightmare as people think it is when they are looking to relocate to another jurisdiction. You also have access to non-private healthcare in Mauritius, and there are various clinics across the island which are very well equipped and really well staffed and really ready to take care of you. So this is not something that I would worry about. Of course, ask around and do your research, but we are well equipped to cater for healthcare needs. Next slide, please. Yeah, so just again to touch on specifically South Africans coming to Mauritius. Obviously, I am South African, so I've been where you are and I've made the move, and I can honestly say that there is a community of South Africans here that is very welcoming. Apart from that, the Mauritian population is extremely welcoming and encourage integration of expatriates into the community. There's a lot of home comforts here, so if you like your Mrs. Ball's chutney or your Marmite, you won't struggle to find that here. And even if you do, it's a 4-hour flight, and there's a lot of flights every week you can order some. As I've already mentioned, we do offer a full lifestyle integration and concierge support, but we also at Temple Group have a CIE, which is our professional networking limb. So all of our clients automatically become part of that networking ring. So you're able to kind of make connections, meet people with the same kind of interests as you, business-wise or even non-business-wise, just to help you to kind of really get settled and make your connections and find your footing on the island. Next slide, please. Yeah, thank you very much. Like I said, if there's any questions, you're welcome to field them to us. Specifically as it relates to tax, we're welcome to delve into those on your individual situations. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Esmarie. I know we're just on a bit of a time, but I had 2 quick questions for you. Regarding medical care, I've noticed when working in a similar environment where we're looking to emigrate, say, for example, to the USA, medical care was it's quite an expense in comparison to South Africa, and one can't just arrive and sort of take up medical care. You need to have a driver's license first, a form of identity, and there were several kind of processes, on the ground processes that you would need to go through. The advice that we got in that case was to try and extend your South African medical care for as long as possible until you had transitioned across to Mauritius, or in this case, it was to the US. Would you agree with that? Would a similar stand be taken in Mauritius? And how do you sort of facilitate that process, or what can you recommend people can do to facilitate that process?
So we have, obviously, under our concierge services, a number of partners that we work with already. We can secure health insurance for people before they come to Mauritius. There may be some exclusions though. So if you have a pre-existing condition, or you know that you have medication that you have to bring into Mauritius, which we can also assist you with, then it would be advisable to kind of have a gap cover to make sure that if they put an exclusion period on your cover for 6 or 3 months, that you are covered in South Africa. But you don't have to be physically in Mauritius to obtain a quotation and understand what your cover would be before you make your decision. So if anyone wants to kind of suss it out and get a feel of what the cost would be and what kind of cover they would need, feel free to let us know, and we can kind of put you in touch with those people as well.
My other question as well, just to go back to the tax thing, and I'm not a specialist at all. so please excuse my ignorance if I'm asking something that was answered here. But based on your comments, are you saying that you potentially, if you have assets in South Africa, property assets in South Africa that you choose not to sell, and then you're moving to Mauritius, that potentially you would be paying tax in both SA and Mauritius on the same income?
Louise, I'm aware that there has been some legislative changes recently as it relates to expatriate tax and also removing your pension from South Africa. So I would strongly advise anyone that intends to keep their assets in South Africa to speak to a tax advisor and make sure that whatever they are doing is not going to have a huge impact on their tax liability in South Africa and in Mauritius. But the tax rate in Mauritius is capped at 15%. And there is a double taxation avoidance agreement in place. So in a straightforward case scenario, there would be a tax credit in Mauritius, but I would advise you to just check on your South African side and make sure whatever you're doing is kind of in line with your long-term goals before you take the plunge.
Beforehand. Thank you so much, Esmarie, and we'll get back to some of those questions and at the end of the session. And please, folks, please use that Q&A box on the side there, the chat box. You can see some questions coming in already. That's the opportunity there. Esmarie is with us, and and her team, so she'll continue to answer questions that perhaps we haven't covered yet. Before we move across to Rinie and chat about Two Futures, we've got a glimpse into the lifestyle of Mauritius. Julie, if you don't mind popping on that video, it's just a minute. It's worth having a look at, and let us get a taste of paradise.
Another beautiful day, I finally figured the recipe. A bit of giving and taking, life it is what you make it. Nothing petty can get to me. A little bit of slow, a little bit of go, a little bit of high, a little bit of low. Ooh, live for the moment. Ooh, live for the time. I wanna sing 1,000 times a day so I could get you
Thank you so much, Julie. Wow, what a lifestyle. Rinie, let's move over to you, and perhaps you can tell us a little bit more about Two Futures, and then of course Choisy.
Hi Louise, and a warm welcome to all the South Africans here from Mauritius. I'm fortunate to work for one of the best residential property developers here in Mauritius. Two Futures was established in 2007. For the last 14 years, Two Futures have a footprint that extends across the island, but we do focus on the north and the west coast as well. What I love about Two Futures is we have an established brand with a good track record of more than 800 luxury homes and offices under construction or delivered already. All our developments have a bank completion guarantee, also known as the GFA. We've got a 10-year external building construction guarantee and a 2-year internal warranty. Two Futures' purpose is to deliver a top quality project offering exceptional lifestyle with a variety of developments. Our developments starting price is from 3.9 million rand. We offer a payment plan on selective units and even a small deposit as from 146,000 rand to secure your unit. Here at Two Futures, we assist the clients as well with a permanent residency when they purchase in a PDS scheme from start to finish. Today, the project I want to explain to you guys and present to you is called Résidences de Mont. It is a result of an exclusive partnership between Ajit Demitis, the leader in the service residence of senior living in France, Two Futures, who is the developer, and the investment arm of Mauritius Commercial Bank Group. Construction is underway and we're almost at handover phase. So in a couple of short weeks, we will be completing and the owners are ready to move in. So if we can just show the video of Résidences de Mont. I just wanted to show Résidences de Mont, and then as you can see from the video, we also have the beach club membership, and the lifestyle video in the beginning has showed what the beach club membership can offer our clients who buy from us. You get boat facilities, concierge services, restaurant, swimming pool. The beach club is designed by Stefan Anthony from South Africa. He's also part of the Swanepoel group, so we've got really good architects on board as well. The Résidences de Mont is a boutique development with 2 or 3 bedroom apartments, designed with a luxury hotel lifestyle in mind, with views from the Point de Mire on the top floor. All the ground floor units have a splash pool with a small garden. You've got access to the top floor because there's a ground floor and a top floor. You've got access with a lift or stairs. Buyers get permanent residency immediately. And it's suitable for the target audience that looking at this specific development. It's suitable for people who live swallow living 3 months at a time or 6 months at a time. And it's easy lock up and go development for business people living on the island part-time or people over 50 years who wants to live here permanently. It's great. We've got one unit left for pure investment. If someone is looking for an investment opportunity, we've got a 5% rental guarantee for 5 years. So we only have one of those units left. If you're looking at the 2-bedroom, the units are 137 square meters, 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom ensuite. And the price is 8.4 million rand. The 3-bedroom, you are looking at 182 square meters, and it's 9.2 million rand. Normally, all our prices are in, we sell our prices in dollars, but for this purpose today, we have changed the currency to rands. So just when you deal with one of us, you will just realize that our prices will reflect in dollars. Okay. From a location point of view, you know, in Mauritius, it's quite important. Location is key where you invest. It's always location. So keep in mind when you do look at property, for this specific property, the Résidences Mont is in the heart of the smart city on the new Mont Boulevard. It's a short drive to the beach and it's near 18-hole golf course. There's a new hospital they're building next door to us. So everything is in that surrounding area. And it's a lovely neighborhood for shopping centers. And it's walking distance to the Mont Mall with restaurants just across the road. It all adds to investment value and a great capital growth. The facilities that we offer at the Résidences de Mont is everything is around you. That's what we are aiming to do, is to make it as comfortable as possible for the buyer. So you don't literally have to go anywhere. There's a wellness center with an indoor and outdoor swimming pool, as you could have seen from the video. There's a fitness room, a sauna, a spa, a hairdresser. For the more active people, there's an aqua gym, gym classes, and fitness courses as well. For the creative ones, we've got some creative studio painting, arts and crafts. We've got restaurants, an indoor and outdoor restaurant. We've got bar, we've got concierge service, taxi service, so you don't even need to buy a car. For those who don't want to drive themselves, there's 24-hour gated security on all our property. We do have gated security, fence, just to take precaution as well. We've got infirmary with a 24/7 emergency service. So if you are on medication, you need to get your medication delivered, then you can always arrange through our Serenity package with Le Domaine de Grand Bay as well to get that delivered. So it's a well-rounded development with lots of resort facilities. It's a great development where you will also meet lots of friends. So it's a good community establishment. And it's in the heart of Grand Bay on the Boulevard Montchauzy Road. And you will be able to zip wherever you need to on the motorway to the shopping mall or even to the beach. That's all from me, Louise.
Thank you so much. We're looking at some beautiful photos of the existing development at the moment. It looks lovely. And thank you very, very much for sharing that with us. We're just pressing on because we're watching time. I see there has been a few questions coming in. The gym and are the gym membership fees a little, is that extra, or is it all inclusive once you buy one of the units or stay in one of two futures developments?
So just to give you a bit of background, if you invest in Mauritius, you've got the purchase price plus the additional government fees. The government fees are 5% government fees, 1.15% notary fee, and the EDB cost of 50,000 rupees. The only additional maintenance cost going forward is your levies. In Mauritius, we call it syndic fees, but in South Africa, we are more known to the word levies. So your monthly levies will incorporate the gym, the indoor and outdoor swimming pools, everything that's like, for instance, spa treatments or that kind of thing, or hairdresser, that you pay additional. Or the Serenity package, which is the more care to medical service, that is additional cost, which we can quote for on a one-to-one basis, because everyone's package are different. But everything that is gym, indoor, outdoor, those are all included in your levies per month, and the care of your gardens, etc.
Just a quick question. So does the development work similar to, say, a residential estate here in South Africa? And perhaps, Philip, this is a question for yourself as well, to a certain extent. Insofar as once you've bought into a unit, you become member of a association, or you're a member of the HOA, as we call it here, or the sectional title development, and therefore you have a say in the running of the development. And there is very specific legislation and process when it comes to increasing levies, how those levies are spent, etc. Is it the same in Mauritius?
Yeah. So there's we've got rental management companies as well, who take care of your rental. If you want to purchase for pure investment and you want to put the property in a rental management, so we've got those services to offer. We also have the syndic service. So, and you have your homeowners association, similar to South Africa. You've got your meetings every year or every quarter regarding the maintenance of the development, the levies, etc. So it's similar to what South Africa has at the moment.
Thank you so much, Rinie. Just to keep an eye on the time, Philippe, we really want to hear what's happening at Park Lane Properties. So let me hand over immediately to yourself. Julie, if you could just pop up the presentation. Folks that are still with us, we are trying to include the questions, but if we're not answering the questions that you have got in the front of your mind, please add them to the chat box as we go along. As I've mentioned, there are the keyboard warriors in the background that can assist. Thank you so much, Philip. Over to you.
Lovely to be with you. I'm probably the only non-South African in the room, but nevertheless, I moved to Mauritius now over 25 years ago. So next slide maybe, when we created Park Lane over 16 years ago, we've acquired obviously market knowledge through those years. We're members of the Estate Agents Association, and through the years, our name has become synonymous to expertise, integrity, and trusted advice. We've become one of the preferred real estate partners for medium to high net worth clients, and we cover the whole of Mauritius through 3 offices. Next slide. So we are a team of dedicated directors. We are shareholders and directors working hard daily to look after our clients, along with a team of real estate advisors that are with us in our company. Next slide. So our services include the selling and renting of residential properties, but we're also in the commercial and industrial sector, and also in land. Obviously, this is more regulated for foreigners, but some schemes like the Smart City scheme allow you, if you're already in Mauritius, so That might not be your case, but if you already have a permit, you can acquire land in some of the smart cities. That's a little information on the sides. Next slide. So the way we like to give our service is, first of all, treating our clients like we would like to be treated ourselves. Our client satisfaction is really what drives us every day and motivates us. And we are here to develop and maintain long-term relationship. We're not just here for the deal. We've been here since over 16 years, and we intend to remain strong on the market. So we're here to build those relationships with our clients, and many of them has become close friends to us through the years. So we obviously want to give to all our clients a very independent and expert advice on every property they buy or every project they want to buy into, and obviously respecting absolute confidentiality of all our clients. Next slide. So our process is obviously understanding your requirements and then conducting private visits. And when during confinement, and because some of you and many of you can't actually come here, we tour the properties on video, we do private calls on FaceTime, on WhatsApp, and we actually are able to give a real good tour of the properties and the surroundings of that property or the resort in which they're buying. And it works fabulously. We've seen really good results about that. So we accompany you from reservation to the signature of the title deed. And we continue to assist you when you've bought off plan. Obviously, we'll be there during construction time to assist you and to be your representative here. And we assist also with the permit, but I know that Temple Group with us will be your great partner for that. And we obviously would be happy to introduce you to private bankers and any other service providers that might be of assistance to you, as much as Temple Group offers those services, so they can assist plainly with that. Next slide. So in our portfolio, we select with great care what we're selling. So we select the projects, which are all the IRS, RES, PDS, and smart cities, as well as the Grand Plus 2 projects, which you might have heard about. Basically, it's just apartments in Grand Plus 2 level buildings that you can buy into from a certain price point. And then we obviously have a lot of resales in various completed developments, and that enables us to give you through the years first-hand information on any new development and new opportunities that may arise. Next slide. We're also part of 2 international networks, so that's in passing, that allows us to really service your local and international needs in property. And we've been able to assist a lot of South Africans. Sometimes they wanted our help to sell their properties either in South Africa, and we connect them with great agents within the network or elsewhere on the globe, England, America, and other parts of the world. So we're able through this network to really assist you in buying or selling properties in these countries as well. Next slide. So we are very happy to present you some properties that we've got for you. We selected a few for the sake of this webinar in the west coast of Mauritius, but obviously we cover the whole island. The first one would be, next slide, Coral Paradise. That's the typical Grand Plus 2 apartment residence that we were talking about. Next slide. So it's a little residence off the coast of La Poneuse, Cameron, Black River, and there are only 10 units, and it's 8 3-bedroom units of 200 square meters, and it's also 2 3-bedroom penthouses. You see the prices here, the price points. The apartments are from 5.7 million rand, and there's 1 penthouse left at 8.75 million rand. There's a communal pool, there's a lift, obviously, and it's directly walking distance from beach and closed shops. There's a few units left, but it's going fast. Next slide. A few pictures of that development. So ground plus 2 means ground floor plus 2 levels minimum to buy into a ground plus 2, but obviously you can have more floors, but the minimum requirement would be ground plus 2. And just in passing, the minimum requirement for someone to buy into a ground plus 2 will be 6 million rupees, which equivalents to approximately 2.5 million rand. Doesn't mean that there's a lot of properties in those price brackets, but we do have some, and we'll be able to see that just now. Next slide. Another great project in Tamarin on the mountain, busy being built at the moment, and we'll see that just now. It's a PDS project. It's 12 apartments spread into 2 identical blocks with a central elevator. It offers you unobstructed views of the sea. So we've got 2 penthouses. One of them is sold with over 400 square meters and 4-bedroom and a private pool on your terrace. There's 2 duplex apartments on each extreme sides of the residence, which are 290 square meters, and we've got 8 apartments of 2 bedrooms, which offer on the ground floor, for those that are on ground floor, a little pool in your garden. Next slide. So you see here the units that are still available. They are in clear color. So the 3-bedroom first floor apartments are the cheapest because they don't have the garden and the pool. So they are starting from 8.2 million rand. And then you're going off to 8.6 for the ground floor with a pool, 17 million for the duplex, and 32.4 for the lucky one who wants an amazing 400 square meter penthouse with really amazing views. And you will see that in the next slide with some pictures, 3D renderings of the views. So you've got on the bottom right bottom right corner, you've got those duplexes with the pool. So it's a duplex apartment, and otherwise some pictures of the nice penthouse. Next slide. They are presently under construction, delivery second semester 2022. And you've got here views from the ground floor level. So that's probably the lowest, that is the lowest level that is available. So you can imagine the views that you can get from the top floors. Next slide. Another project which is really, which has really interested a lot of foreigners from different countries is a project of single floor villas. So that's really for the typical client and expatriate that wants to come and live in Mauritius. So we've got 14 single floor villas. Next slide. You see here an indication of where the plot of land is. It is within an estate. So you enter through an estate and then you've got your private estate again. And it's only 5 minutes drive from shops and the beach. You can see the sea not far. You wouldn't have sea views, but obviously with the car, you're 5 minutes away from the beaches. Next slide. You see here the 4 units still available on the right-hand side. I hope you see it in red. And they start from around 11.8 million rand for a villa of 235 square meters, 3 to 4 bedrooms, and the developer can really accommodate the buyers on plots of land which vary between 780 to 1,000 square meters. Next slide. A few pictures of the 3D renderings that you will see here. And it's a project that works very well, especially when clients want a few amendments done with the plans. The developer is really helping a lot with tailor-made changes. And here you see some pictures of the construction of those villas being conducted at the moment, and delivery is planned for December 2022. If you can see on the next slide, there we are. Next slide. We're going a little bit up in value and in quality. We're going now on the beach. It's very rare. That's why you will see the prices reflect that. You will see from the next slide where it is situated. It's on a very nice strip of land that we sold to this developer, and where he developed. On the next slide, you will see a nice 10-unit development with, at the back, 2 blocks with 5 units in each, 2 on the ground floor, 2 on the first floor, and 1 penthouse, so it's times 2 blocks. And in front, you've got this magnificent communal pool with a little clubhouse for the owners. Next slide. So you see here the units that are left are 3 first-floor apartments of approximately 205 square meters. And the price is 23.4 million rand. Yes, it's not as cheap as some other properties, but you are on the beach, directly on the beach. And as a foreign owner, normally you're not allowed to buy beachfront, but in this case, the units that are being built are built on freehold land, and the front is on leasehold land. This is what enabled the developer to actually build those properties and be able to sell them to foreigners. Next slide. I was talking about some resales opportunities in the lower range. So just a few examples in the West, but obviously we've got also in other parts of the country. In Tamarin, we've got this very nice apartment of 132 square meters of 3 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms on the first floor, no lifts, but it's only a few steps that will keep you young and fit. And there's 1 carport, and it's really walking distance from the beach. So that's a very nice apartment for only going for 2.7 million rand with 1,500 rand per month charges. And that's great for rental because it's really very well situated. Another one in Tamarin, 140 square meters, a little bit more expensive, but still very affordable, 3.2 million rand. It's on the first floor and it's in a residence that you can see on the picture with a lift, and there's 1 carport car park. Finally, in Tamarin, another apartment in a nice RES, when it used to be the RES. So open to foreign acquisition, obviously. It's an apartment of 95 square meters with 2 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms. It's on the ground floor, which is very nice. And it gives you direct access to that large communal pool. It's very close to the shops and only a few minutes drive to the beach. 4,500 rand is the price for this one. Next slide. So this is a little overview of a few projects we have. Obviously, we've got a lot of more properties in our portfolio, and we'll be very glad to accompany you with our usual personal approach to property.
Thank you so much, Philippe. And thank you so much for bringing in those properties towards the end there. Folks, I know we've run over our time, but I do believe that there is a lovely cross-section of properties available depending on where your price threshold is and what you're looking for, whether coming in as an investor or even just buying in an apartment until you've settled into the island and found yourself comfortable, and then moving into something larger or more suitable in a different location, which I'm sure you find. I just have to point out to those of us that are still watching that behind Philippe is actually not one of these digital images, but rather the view from where he is, where his home is. Philippe, where are you on the island?
As you can see from the mountain behind me, it's the Mont mountain, a very well-known mountain in Mauritius, and everyone wants to have that particular view. So there are a few units in the west which are available with that view to foreigners. And so I'm in Black River, Tamarin area, which is in the southwest part of the island.
And what are you finding, from just one quick question, working with the number of South Africans that you are working with, where are you finding that most South Africans are finding value or seeing the value when it comes to property?
Look, obviously buying from off-plan projects is very interesting, because this is usually where you can get the best price to quality, rapport. And through the time of construction, prices go up always. Often developers are actually increasing their prices during construction. So going into a project when it's not started yet is always a good option, but I understand that some South Africans only want to see and buy what they see. So that obviously we've got a lot of properties for that. And if I can say that the sharing between the two, between South African clients, I would say half-half. Some have got no problem into buying off plan and they know that they're going to be delivered in 2 years, but that allows them to organize their finances and organize their lives, because they might not be wanting to expatriate from now on.
So I'm glad you've noted that. So with an off-plan purchase, it's a staggered approach to the payment structure. With the resale, is it like a traditional South African resale? You know, you find you know, put your deposit down, you sign the paperwork, go through a banking process, and then purchase the unit.
Exactly. And very important, there is a very strict law protecting off-plan developments, protecting the client. Okay, so it's a French system that is basically it's a sale under completion, which means you're going to actually pay as construction evolves, and you're protected because the developer will have to furnish to the buyers a bank guarantee guaranteeing the completion. There's a banking institution that will guarantee the project to completion. So in case the developer tomorrow, for any reason, does not, you know, is not able, the bank jumps in and actually finishes the project. So that's a very secure way that Mauritius offers, which is based on the French system.
That's the GFA that I've mentioned earlier, the bank, the GFA that you have to have in place. So most of the developers, we need to sell 70% of our development to be able to reach GFA level with the bank, to be able to start construction. So you will see sometimes it takes a little bit longer to reach that, but it's a secure way of making sure that all buyers have the certainty that that development will actually happen and they will have a completed product. So it's a very safe way to invest in Mauritius.
Thank you. And just to round off with a question, just regarding financing a property, the question is coming is, what is the interest rate in Mauritius? And whereas in South Africa, we often have a choice between, depending on your age, a 20 or 30-year bond. Are there any limitations? If I stand to be corrected, it's 20 years is the maximum, or 15 years is the maximum loan period. Is that correct?
Up to 65 years old. So the person, yeah, so they will actually lend up to the person being 65 years old. And otherwise the interest rates around 3 to 4%, 5%, depending on the profile. That's in rupee.
Profile. In rupee. Okay. Thank you so much to everybody. And I do, to our viewers that have stayed with us, thank you so much. As we mentioned, we're recording the session and we will share the content. I think a lot has been said, and perhaps you want to go through it in a little bit more detail. We will be sending that out along with the responses to our Q&As. And but thank you to everybody that's participated and for all the time that you've allocated to putting this webinar together and the content that you shared. It has been most valuable. And I think that, and you know, for South Africans that are looking at this option, Mauritius really does have a lot to offer, and a lot more that we haven't even begun to cover in this particular webinar. So please look out for future webinars where we'll continue to break down and share information. If you have any questions for the panel, please feel free to contact us at estate-living.co.za, and enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you to everyone.